Philthygamerdad. Although today I am super dead with my hat. Today we have part 2 of the beginner's guide to Shadowlands PVP and Arena. In this video we will be covering all the settings that are geared towards Arena. That includes UI settings, add-ons, keybinds, and macros. And as always, please like, please subscribe, please comment, and I'll keep doing these videos for you. Now, before we begin, I just want to let you know kind of the equipment I'm playing with. So what I use is a MMO style 12 button mouse. And I don't know if you can see the buttons there. There you go. It's a little dirty, right? This one is Red Dragon, but it definitely helps with all my settings because I basically just from here have everything laid out 1 through 12 and then, shift 1 through 12, control 1 through 12. So it takes a while getting used to, but it helps a ton. Now in terms of UI, you want a clean looking UI, but also kind of condensed. For arenas, it's key to have everything kind of right around the middle so your eyes don't have to drift, too far across your screen, which doesn't seem like it's a lot, but I mean, if you're in the thick of it, having everything right there in front of you does tend to make things a lot easier. And again, a PvP UI is very different from UIs that you see in Mythics or in Raiding. Here is a still shot of an arena match. You can clearly see how my UI is designed to kind of be condensed and clean at the same time. I use raid style party frames on the left side, so it's nice and big. Right above my character is my target, which right now it's on myself. Normally my focus target would be somewhere down below that. Just off to the right you see the opposing team party frames with one of the add-ons I'll get to later. At the bottom you'll see my 3 rows of bars, my keybinds. Again, we'll go over the add-on that makes it look nice and clean like that. Everything is kind of condensed, so I'm able to see everything kind of right there in front of me, and I don't have to kind of dart from one corner of the screen to the other just to see kind of what's going on. And we're going to go over some UI settings now. If you go to your interface, make sure you have target of target checked in your combat settings. Now what this does is if I go back to the game and I click on someone, right, let's say I click on this dude and then let's find a way I don't kill him here, right? But now you see down here, you see he's attacking my totem. So that's a good one to have so that if you're playing in the arena or playing against anybody in PvP and you see a mage casting Greater Pyroblast, and you target them, you'll see who they're casting it at. So if it's you gotta maybe play defensive, at the right time. Or if it's not you, at the time you don't have to really worry about that unless you're peeling. But again, just helps you kind of understand like, hey, are they trying to CC me right now? Are they not? Who are they targeting? Just definitely helpful. Over here in the self-cast key, some people have auto self-cast on. Some people prefer it to be off. So that, let's say, and this happened many times last season, my partner's low on health. I was playing Mistweaver, so I tried to cast Cocoon on them. But they died right as I cast. And so instead of, them getting the Cocoon, it automatically reverted to me. And then, of course, that defeats the purpose there. Could have maybe saved onto it if it was like a 1v1 at that point. It's a preference thing. This type of event happens a lot. Maybe you want to take it off. Usually I keep loss of control alerts on at all times. So on the names tab of your interface, this is how I like to see it. Always show nameplates of your enemy units and their minions. Always have large nameplates, just easier on the eyes. This doesn't really make a difference. The big one here I wanted to cover is nameplate motion style. And so there are 2 options. You can do stacking nameplates or overlapping nameplates. Now, overlapping nameplates, you see how it overlaps now? Each one has its own benefit. If you have the overlapping nameplates, it's easier to see kind of where everyone is on, and he's coming back to do this now. You can see exactly where they are on the screen, but it's a little harder to target. If you go to the stacking, which I just like stacking myself personally, right? It's a lot easier to kind of switch between the two if you need, because you can kind of see it a lot easier. Another one that's preference, but I know some of the top players do it, is under your camera settings, camera following style. The ones I see always, well, the one I use is only when moving. I can turn myself like this, the camera doesn't change. Once I start moving though, it kind of flips around. A lot of players use is never adjust camera. Basically, if I turn and start running, see my camera doesn't switch. Let's say someone's running at me to try to CC me, I can kind of turn, run, and kind of keep an eye on things away, so to speak, cast this way, cast Earth Grab Totem, and kind of run off. Again, preference. It takes a while to get used to where the camera doesn't automatically turn, but if you can learn it, it's definitely helpful. As you saw in my screenshot of my arena match, I use raid style party frames. I use class colors. Pets is meh. It's up to you, but I like to have it max height, max width, just so it's nice and big for me to see. If I get into like a regular BG or an epic BG, like that thing will just like cover my entire screen. So then I kind of have to change it up, kind of shorten it up and whatnot. So next we're moving on to add-ons. Ignoring deadly boss mods because that's not needed for arena. These are the arena add-ons I need to have always on. Ability Team Tracker used to be called, I think, Arena Team Tracker. That's this over here. Essentially, you line it up next to your party frame and you can kind of keep track of cooldowns they use. So again, effective for communication. If I'm in a CC, I'm being stunned and I see my partner still has a defensive, I can yell at him to kind of use it that I can't heal him right now. But you can see if I use, let's say, Spirit Link Totem, gets on its cooldown, and it's just, again, easier to track instead of kind of looking down here at all times, because it pops down here too, but it's just a lot easier up here. Next add-on is Bartender. Bartender 4 to be exact. And that is this down here. Just keeps it nice and neat. Again, so for me, my first row is just 1 through 12. Second row is 1 through 12 with shift. Third row is 1 through 12 with control. This is the icon here. You can open the options menu. You can have a bunch of bars, scale them however you want. You see down low, it's kind of like bugging out now. I gotta make it go back. There we go. You can make it go vertically, there's just a bunch of settings. This is just easier for me. Set up a pet bar, micro menu, like Blizzard art bar. Remember that down here? See that? The OG, the default. I mean, you don't want it, you can take it right out. Cleans up a lot of clutter at the bottom. Presets profiles, so generally every tune I have, I just copy and paste from like my main. Left click it, see, you can kind of just drag and move wherever you want it to go. That's Bartender. Battleground enemies is mainly used for, as you could tell, battlegrounds. So the battleground enemies, you can see off to the right, enemies stacked, and you can kind of keep track of where they are at all times on the map. If you click on one of them, you'll always be able to see kind of where they are because it'll automatically target them. You see the numbers on the end, it all says 0 now. But if you're in a team fight, especially if you end up playing RPGs, you'll have kill targets, and this will help you keep track of how many people are targeting what person. Keeps track of who's targeting what. You can even have this same setup for your own team. Big debuffs increases the debuff size of crowd control effects on the Blizzard raid frames. So with the add-on big debuffs, when you're in the game, if they have some sort of debuff on them, it will be nice and big for you to see and keep track of. Next add-on is Gladius X. Some people use regular Gladius. I use Gladius X. Don't know why, I just like it a little better. And as you can see with my Gladius X, you see my opponent's arena frames. You can see all their big time cooldowns underneath. You see their health. You see their, whether it's mana or energy. You see the trinket on the right side. So if they use their trinket, that'll go on a cooldown, so you can keep track of their trinkets. If they're stunned, as you can see right now, the Shadow Priest just got, raked. Is it rake or rip? I don't know. But you can see the Feral's already attacking the Shadow with that silence out the gate, diminishing return cooldown as well, which is important to keep track of because you can't keep casting CCs, and if you're a Warlock, you can't keep casting Fear and have them feared for 7 seconds every time. It starts to drop if you use it too often until a point where it's on a diminishing return, and you have to wait for that cooldown to kind of reset before you can cast a full Fear on them again. Gladiator Los SA, or I just say Gladiator Losa. PvP Sound Alerter. Now, this one is fantastic. Essentially, what Gladiator Losa does is it calls out everything in the arena for you, making it a little easier for you to keep track of what's going on. I am in a arena and I'm playing against, let's say, Rogue Mage, right? When that mage maybe finally gets out of stealth and tries to cast its first polymorph, as soon as it starts casting, Gladiator Losa, the add-on, will tell me Poly. It'll just straight up, it'll just say Poly. There's a CC incoming, and I gotta pay attention to it. I could be facing this way, the mage is somewhere back here. I'm not looking. She's, drops out of invis behind me and starts casting. I don't see it. I'll be able to see it on their arena frames over here, but just that audio call out definitely helps. And it does everything. Trinket, kick, or just for interrupt, it just says kick. I'll cast and I'll fake out. If I'm able to get it off and cut it, and then I hear the kick, I know I juked him. It covers offensive cooldowns, all kinds of spells, defensive stuff. It calls out a lot. Then we have Omni CC. What Omni CC does is keeps track of cooldowns for your opponents. So if I click preview, oh crap. If I click preview, see something like that pops up. Of course, it's not that big. It'll be a lot smaller somewhere, wherever you want to put it. But it keeps track of cooldowns. So again, if we're going back to, let's say I juked a rogue's kick, their kick goes on cooldown, I'll be able to keep track of it. Recount, it's good for analyzing after the match. Here you see, I don't know what I did last healing, what did the most healing, initial hit, ticking healing, the crit healing, damage taken, right? So if you get just blown up, you could be like, all right, why did I take so much damage? Threat plates, little plates over my opponents look like that. It's a little different than the default. I like it a little better. But that's just preference. And that's it for add-ons. Now we will be going over some key bindings. If you like to play on more than one character, you have alts. One bit of advice is assign designated slots for certain types of spells or abilities. For me, an interrupt is always on one specific keybind across all my characters, or my trinket is the same across all characters. Make sure you make use of shift as well as control to give yourself some more keybinds, especially for macros, which we will be covering soon. One thing you can do for targeting, I personally like to use my mouse scroll. I don't have it set up right here right now, but if I scroll up, I automatically target my first partner. If I scroll down, if I'm playing threes, it's my second partner. If I click the mouse scroll, it targets me. So there's, again, something that's a little easier. If you're DPS, maybe it's you do it on the enemy team, right? Scroll up first party, scroll down second, mouse cursor, or click the mouse scroll is the third opponent if you're playing threes. Another option for targeting arena, either opponents or team members, is using F123. That also can make it a lot easier to kind of quickly switch between the different players in the game. So just to wrap up add-ons, Gladius X, Bartender, Threat Plates, which is again optional. Just helps to kind of clean up the UI a little bit. Your awareness add-ons are Omni CC, Big Debuffs, Arena Team Tracker, Gladius Losa, and Gladius X. Keep control of everything visually, and kind of allows you to communicate without actually sometimes having to communicate. And Recount is, of course, for analyzing post games. Now, when it comes to macros, these will help. So as a healer, my first job is to heal, but I also have some damage abilities. It's a lot to cover in terms of my key binding. So I use macros where these are my Mistweaver ones. Let me go to my Shaman ones. One single keybind that will help if it's cast on a friendly, or harm if it's cast on an opponent. So just so y'all can see, something like if I target myself or a teammate, it'll cast Riptide. If I have an opponent targeted, it will cast Frostshock. So essentially I have a heal harm macro for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keybinds. 12 spells on 6 keybinds. Shrunk it down right away. You have your cast target arena 1, 2, 3, a healer that's casting a spell and I want to interrupt. Instead of having to turn my cursor over to target him and then click the button, the Resto Shaman, I have shear 1, 2, 3. So shear target arena 1, shear target arena 2, shear target arena 3. Do the same thing for healing my teammates, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Any spells that require a cursor, kind of like if I use my Earthgrab Totem, you see this cursor here. So essentially you need to press things twice, right? Instead of having to click it like so and then drop it, I can just one button, boom, it's dropped, and boom, they're stunned. Just kind of helps make things a little easier. Skip a step. You can do 1, 2, 3 arena macros. You can do focus target macros. If you're just playing twos, it might be a little easier. Big ones are generally any CCs, interrupt, focus target, teammate target. And that is all for part 2, Beginner's Guide to Shadowlands PVP and Arena. If you like the video, please subscribe, please like, please leave a comment. In part 3, we will finally be stepping into the arena for some gameplay tips and advice. Things like positioning, kill target and switches, communication, CC chains and setups, tracking DRs, when to trinket, when to play offensively, when to play defensively. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good day. Have a good night. See ya.